Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Will Grimes. This is Eli Schmidt. Today we're going to be talking about a couple different topics that coincide with our main one, which is why we decided to leave EXP. Now, with that being said, we just want to mention that we are two-time icon agents. We did have influence of just about 200 agents in our downline. I spoke at EXPCon twice. I also spoke at the Veteran Breakfast. We've had a lot of great things that have happened within that space, but there's some changes that have happened. There's some deterioration of some things that have happened, which is why we decided to potentially walk away from almost 200 agents and redevelop where we're at now at LPT. We're excited to talk about it. Just want to also bring this out. There's no drama, there's no bad blood, it's nothing like that. 100%. But there are some pros and cons. There are some things that just were disheartening. There are some things that weren't ideal, whatever it may be. A series of unfortunate events is what I call it. I don't think anyone's malicious or anything like that, but there are some things from a business standpoint that from our perspective, from our lens, personal experience, we want to chat about today and just give you guys some food for thought. If you guys are interested in EXP, we've still got some great friends that are over there. If you'd like to speak with them, if you guys are interested in what we're doing, obviously we'd love to talk to you as well. But that being said, let's get into some of these topics on why we decided to leave.
All right, so to kick it off, guys, let's start with a few bullet points as far as what some of the initial breakdowns were. And I think it's important here to note that, in addition to our perspective, this is a lot of the feedback and experience that we had from our almost 200 agents that were across the country. Right. So as you guys know, EXP is in all 50 states. So a lot of these are feedback from us personally. A lot of it are issues that we personally were involved in helping agents resolve in their individual states. And we were here for almost 5 years. Correct. So it's not like we were here for 6 months and didn't really get to turn every stone. Like we were in here.
We weren't moving on. We weren't planning on moving, right? Like I just also want to let you know, like, I'm not sure if everyone runs it the same way, but we super care about our downline.
Yes.
And even though we're just their sponsors per se, like we've done a lot, whether it's all the content we've created, our online university, our YouTube courses, like you name it, it's out there, and we give it at no cost for our downline. Like we take care of them, and not every downline works the same way, but we do. So we started hearing a lot of the same things that were just congruent all the way through with a handful of agents. It's like, hey, you've got to be agent first, and that's what we're trying to speak today, and what we're going to talk about is just, it's not just about our own personal success and what we're doing, but it's about the success of our agents. It's not just about what we're doing in the next 5 months. It's the next 5 years, the next 10 years, what that looks like. And hey, what pivots need to happen or improvements need to happen in order for agents to become successful at scale that are around us, that are affiliated with us. And hey, we started losing some trust with that, right? But just full disclosure, this has to be, coming from like when you guys are watching this, we just have to understand this has got to be agents first.
Yeah, great point. Great point. So let's start off with brokerage support. Right. Now, one of my personal complaints with EXP was that they really gatekeep the broker access, right? So you never actually get someone's phone number. You either have the expert care 1-800 number, or what they do is they tell you to message your broker over the workplace app, which is like a Facebook chat sort of messenger platform. Correct. But you never really get that direct access. Unless you have a really personal relationship with your individual managing broker, there's honestly a fat chance that you're ever going to get their actual phone number.
There's also some breakdowns, right? So like, for example, we've got a super high performing team that's out of California. Names aren't important. #1 team in the world from the brokerage that they came from, like 7 years in a row. And they had a breakdown with just even the MLS, right? Like the broker over there in California did not renew their license with the MLS. So when this team owner and this agent that owns this team had a ton of open houses that weekend and a ton of homes on the market in California and had all these offers submitted over the weekend, come Monday morning, she wasn't even, it was down. So she wasn't even able to access all the offers, et cetera, et cetera. She had the broker's number, so she did have a personal contact number, super rare, but there's just no answer, right? And long story short, between myself and a VP and Tina, we're on the phone with the MLS, just trying to pay for the broker's license just to get it up so she can get back to work and things like that. Cool, a lot of people chalk things up as like, hey, things happen or whatever it may be, and I understand that, but call didn't come till a long time after we had already solved the problem. There's no apology. It was, why are you calling me on my cell phone? So-and-so, this is my cell phone. And team owner was like, I know you gave it to me and you told me to contact you directly, especially for emergencies, and here's what's going on. And it was, no apology, no anything. Like it's interesting, like that same team that had that happen to them They also weren't recognized as a team. One of that agent's biggest things coming over was the team recognition. It was discussed as she was coming over, and then when she was hitting icon and things like that, they weren't recognizing her team. They were just wanting to recognize her, which is what was happening in her prior brokerage. And the fact that she wanted her team recognized, not just her individual photo, they decided to just not recognize her at all when it came to like showing photo of the icon agents, et cetera, et cetera. It seems very petty to me. It seems very silly. Where we're at now, well, you speak directly to ownership. It's not a problem. Like, you speak to the owner. I've spoken to our owner. Sorry about that, we're back, helicopters. It seems petty, right? It seems like it shouldn't be a big deal to recognize your team. I'm sure teams get recognized all the time. Where we're at now, you just speak directly to ownership. We're gonna get into, proximity to leadership and ownership at LPT. But it was just a strike too for her when it came to some things like that. And on top of that, like when it comes to social media accounts and things there, like she just was never publicly recognized at all. And of course, those things were requested. Of course, managing brokers are aware of who's coming into their space. It was just never recognized, right? So Eli's talking tactical. I'm talking more on like the relationship side, but here's what I'll say. You want to be wanted. And when I was deciding to leave, we were super transparent about it. I was looking at some different pivots for about 8 months. And when we got to about 3 weeks out, where we were really looking at some things and considering 2 companies, very honest, very open, very transparent with leadership. And the number one thing that I told him was just, you want to be wanted. Like if you have a spouse out there, like you don't want your spouse to hug you because you're asking to be hugged, right? Because then it's like, well, are you hugging me because you want to hug me? Or are you hugging me because I'm asking you to hug me? Like some of these things that had happened, it was just like, you want to be wanted, and we didn't feel that way because of like the behaviors of some things that were happening to some of our agents, right? Like as much as maybe this video might seem like it to some, and maybe some people are going to take it this way, and you're just going to have to take it that way. But our intention is not that. Like this isn't a poopy pants victim video. This is just honest transparency between everything that's gone on. I think EXP tells a good story online. I don't think they talk a lot about the 36,000 agents that are gone last year. The next 16,000 that were reported this year. I don't think they talk about, the buyback in stock. I'm not smart enough to talk about it. I won't talk about it. But there are some things in addition to the story that they're telling you that just are what I would call unbecoming as far as like how we're treating each other, who's getting taken care of. I don't think it's malicious. I don't think anyone's doing some things on purpose. I think it's a series of unfortunate events because maybe they're at scale and they're understaffed. I don't know. I can't speak to that. But all I do know is at some point it got to this whole, man, like, do we feel welcome here? Do our agents feel welcome here? Are they really being recognized for who they are, or man, are we not, right? So wanting to be wanted by your brokerage is huge.
Well, and I think this is what, ties into our next point of where, EXP being such a revenue share recruiting driven platform, they really, really prioritize the people that are the big recruiters, right? And this is where we feel like agents are almost secondary. And, this situation where he's talking about this big team, very high producing, the bigger picture here is, hey, if this is what you guys are doing with this very high producing, very well-known team, what's happening to just all of us individual everyday agents out there?
And just when you speak about like, some of the bigger recruiters, you feel like that gatekeeping, it does exist. You feel like there's not a lot of momentum that you can start for yourself. We've had some experiences with some of the bigger folks that are up there. There's a couple of great ones that I will always be respectful to, but there's also some ones that are not great, that tell you a lot of certain things and they see what you're doing. We've had a couple of them take advantage of us where we showed them what we were building, what we're doing for our agents. They wanted to tap into it and, hey, let's do some events together. Let's help each other grow, et cetera, et cetera. And then all of that falls to the wayside, but now they are more than using our products and more than using our staff and our employees to feed what they were doing, right? And there just wasn't a collaboration like you spoke about in the beginning. It all fell to the wayside once everything else was established. And it feels like some of these bigger recruiters that are not in production, that are not real estate first, they have to find a way to just recoup some of their revenue from EXP 2.0. We can talk about that. Or just, recoup, maybe it's from post-COVID, who knows? I'm gonna give my opinion of, I think a lot of it had to do with EXP 2.0. I know they tell a good story about that. I don't think it's a great idea. I know they're talking about co-sponsorships on the surface like that. Hey, that could sound great. I don't think that that's gonna work well for a lot of agents at scale. I think what it does do is it puts a lot of your biggest recruiters back out into recruiting, and they'll do whatever it takes to win as far as like recouping whatever they lost, my opinion. And it's creating some friction. And obviously you guys can tell that I'm a little discerned with some of it. I'm biting my tongue, not because anyone did anything like horrible, but it's just discerning with some of the behavior that was going on. And I think at some point they lost sight of like the real estate side. And I know they talk about, hey, we did the most transactions of anyone last year, right? You've also got 70,000 more agents to do that. You didn't win by a lot. There's a lot of better brokerages that are just putting real estate first that I think are doing some great things, not just LPT. There's a lot of great ones that are really doing some cool stuff. And now that this cloud-based brokerage model is out there and EXP pioneered that and led the way, I think now that they're at scale, some other companies are starting to see the pivots and where the cracks are and how to mitigate that from the start when they're starting their company versus these big companies trying to change, once they're they're super big. Like for example, Keller Williams, like how do they change their model once EXP blew up? They can't take all these individual franchises and just turn it into a cloud-based brokerage. Yeah. They're too big. So what is EXP too big to mitigate or change? Now that they have certain things in place, I think the EXP 2.0 was to try to mitigate some of that. I think the co-sponsorship is to mitigate some of that. You can still co-sponsorship at LPT. This is not this big thing. I know they made it sound so revolutionary. It's not. You can do that over here as well. But I do think that for the reasons they were doing it, seems more like a Band-Aid than anything. I don't think it's going to be something that really pops off. And I think because of the silos, cliques that are over there, there's always going to be some level of friction within all of that.
Well, and let's talk about that a little bit too, because, you know, what kind of irked me was, you know, over the past couple of years, anything new and exciting that EXP has announced or come out with has never been, hey, this is what we're doing to help agents
do more
buy or
deals,
sell more homes, do more deals.
Yeah.
Any new and exciting thing they've come out with has been changes in revenue share, co-sponsorship, like you mentioned, EXP 2.0, which basically opens up your first 3 levels automatically, if other details to go in with it. But long story short, the only innovations they've come out with have been for the recruiters, not the agents.
And I think a lot of people feel that, like when we talk about their overall growth, they share a lot of their international growth, which is why they're still showing ROI positive versus like the loss that they took last year. Like there's just things that have to get better, and I'm not sure if they're going to get better. I'm not sure if they're just too big, the way that they're structured. But the bottom line is, anytime you have your biggest conglomerates, non-producers, because they're this big silo of recruitment now, they have to maintain that, they have to stick that. And I'm just not sure what they're going to do as far as like being the practitioner on the ground levels. We're the practitioners on ground levels. Like we've done a lot of great things, and we're still currently in production, and we pride ourselves on production, the decentralization of production as far as like the people that help us here in Colorado, in addition to everybody else across the country that we've helped produce. And even some of our folks that were upline, no need to mention any names, but the guys that we joined directly are great marketers. They understand things super well, they market super well, and they've been super innovative with a lot of the stuff that they pioneered. And I feel like, I can't speak for them, I won't speak for them. Here's my opinion on it. I think they were super undervalued, even more so than myself and Eli, and what we think we're great at and where we think we should be performing and how the model should fit. I feel like the guys that we joined, they weren't this huge thing when we joined. They were just the right guys because they were doing the right thing for the right reasons, and they were innovative, and they were pioneers, focused on how to help agents do more deals. Why they aren't the biggest names at EXP, to this day, it blows my mind. They're good friends of ours. It's just super underserved, right? So like, and I don't want to get too long on that either, but like, I'm literally just contemplating some of the past 5 years of just like, man, even those guys did a great job at identifying how to help agents do more deals. And they've helped agents across the country just as much as us, if not more, on how to help them. And we've always prided ourselves on the practitioner side. They've done some great things on the marketing side. And I remember like, even when I spoke at EXPCon, the fact that they weren't a part of that, but I was bothersome because I thought they had done such a great deal as far as like helping agents do more deals. We're forever grateful to those guys. If you ever want to know who those guys are, reach out personally. Happy to introduce you and connect you to them. But they're just another example, in my opinion, of like the producing side that just wasn't recognized.
Right. Now, the most important thing with production, guys, is getting paid. Okay. Now, in Colorado, where Will and I are, we have the luxury of being able to get paid directly from the title company at the closing table. So we didn't have a lot of issues, but we have countless stories from agents in all these other states where, you know, EXP, they say that it's easy to get paid if you're not able to get paid at the table. The reality is it was a very different story. Very different
story. It wasn't always easy to get paid. We've had a ton of like trouble like with a lot of our agents in Florida. As
taking
far
up
as,
a
like,
week to 2 weeks to get paid.
A week to 2 weeks. The CDAs were off. I don't know if they're just understaffed in Florida for how many agents that they have. I'm not going to speak to why things are the way they are. I'm just going to speak that they are this way, right? There's a lot of disgruntledness in Florida. We've had some issues in Colorado. And then even, you know, just to give some credit, even when it is easy, right? Like if we have a new build contract that sells, a lot of new builders here in Colorado, they're going to cut one check and they're going to pay the brokerage. Like you can give a copy of that, photocopy or check. You can email that over to EXP. They can process it within, you know, with the CDA and everything else. And then within a day or two, like you can get paid. Cool. Like, so that's easy. That would be considered easy. And I would agree that like, yeah, hey, that's pretty easy. Well, over here at LPT, they'll actually just give you access to their app, their Chase app. So you can literally, just like you're doing your own personal mobile deposit. Like I use Chase, I do a mobile deposit. Cool. When you're at your closing, like you can literally just get access to their Chase app. You can take a photo of that check to LPT. That'll automatically upload into that account and you'll be dispersed immediately. So even when EXP's done some things that, hey, that was pretty easy, there's easier, more streamlined ways of even doing the easy, right? That we are appreciative of. But can you split hairs on those two? As long as one of these work, like you're typically pretty good to go, right? Like agreed. It's everything else as far as like just the CDAs back and forth and things not being correct. And then it takes a week or two and then they say, oh, hey, we actually paid you too much and now you owe us money. And it's like, okay, well, why don't you just take that out on my next transaction? It gets too convoluted. There's too much friction. And when you guys know as realtors, when you're out there doing the best you can as realtors, everything else that becomes friction that you're spending time on does nothing but slow you down or disorganize you. And maybe you forget that you didn't even get paid in the first place because if you don't double check it, it won't happen. There's just some things there where it's like, man, I wonder if we've got things set up where, again, we're production real estate focused first versus the growth and telling the story of how many people we have over here.
Well, yeah, they're coming out with all these different ways to get paid on revenue share, faster, easier, all these things that benefit the recruiters over there, but agents just doing transactions is taking 1 or 2 weeks to get paid. Like, that's crazy.
Personal preference, right? Like coming from the Marine Corps and all the things that I did there, coming from, like a little bit of professional sports, everything was like merit-based, right? So like when I picked up promotions, I got meritorious promotions and things like that mattered. Your command staff were writing letters of recommendation, you were testing out, you're performing, you were on oral boards. It was based off of your performance as a Marine that dictated your next promotion, unless you did enough time in service and you check the box and they give it to you. But that'll take you 5-6 years to pick up sergeant versus, I picked that up in 2 years, 9 months. Not bragging, not trying to impress you. I'm impressing upon the point that the way Elon and I grow and the way we attract agents is based off of our performance and the performance of every agent we've had around us, the credibility of their performance saying like, hey, we're agents first. This is what we do. This isn't just something we recruit about. And you guys have to understand a lot of your bigger recruiters, the reason why they can just flash and flaunt that they don't have a job and they can work from anywhere, from the beach, from here, from there, is well, because all of you are out doing deals. That's paying the revenue share. Full fan of revenue share. I'm a full fan of revenue share. We would love to have every agent on the planet. Absolutely. You'll never see us not doing the work and not staying relevant. So any agent we have in our downline, we can speak contextually, not theoretically, to a market, to a current phase, a certain time of what we're going through and how to mitigate it and what's working for us. We will always be practitioners first and allow the agents to follow secondarily. And it's just, we don't feel, based off of our experience the past 5 years and with our success and what we've done, we don't feel like that's the priority.
All right, now speaking of getting paid, let's talk about what you actually pay. This was an uphill battle anytime we had someone that was coming over and joining EXP for, the things that we had to offer. Yeah. One of the biggest feedbacks that we got was how much nickel and diming there is, right? Now, first of all, there is a $149 fee just to join EXP. There's also an ongoing $85 a month fee that you're paying whether you're doing a deal or not. Right. Now, you've got your 80-20 split with $16K cap that applies to everybody across the board there. No choice on commission split, no options there. But on top of that, they have a $25 broker review fee, a $40 E&O fee per transaction. And then even after you hit your cap, you have a $250 transaction fee after you cap.
Correct. And now they do have a lot of really cool things as far as like some EXP luxury, some items that you can get access to as far as like
that also costs $3,000 a year.
He took my line. Yes, that can also help you like enhance your brand, et cetera, but it's also costing you a significant amount of money, yes. Right? Like in comparison to LPT, you can just wipe that off the board. You don't have any of that except for your E&O insurance that everybody's required to pay.
Yeah, $500 one time out of your first transaction of the year.
And it's done, right? Yeah. So everything else when it comes to like your listing power tools, so whether it's all of your marketing you like for your listings, et cetera, like they literally will package that in an amazing little box, ship that to you, you pay for shipping. Yeah. If you would like above and beyond service, we can talk about LPT Plus. This is where you can have a membership where you can pay and it gives you access to a ton of different things. But what I like about it being that we're practitioners is the things you get access to and the help that you get for LPT Plus. I'll let you cover it. Phenomenal when it comes to helping agents do more deals.
It is. And most importantly, guys, when you're coming to join a brokerage, the last thing you want is a freaking sign-up fee, right? So there's no sign-up fee there. There is no monthly fee. So you could come over, and especially if you're a newer agent, you're strapping for cash anyway, right? No sign-up fee, no monthly fee. You're not getting charged that E&O insurance until you actually do a transaction.
Yeah.
And then the absolute best part, guys, and this was one of the things that I'm most excited about coming over to LPT, was their choice that they have in your commission split. No other brokerage has done this before, especially in these cloud-based brokerages. We'll give you the summary here real quick, and then we're gonna have another video completely breaking all this down for you.
We're gonna show you guys these boxes, your listing power tools, all the way from diamond to luxury to the ones that they do at no cost. You just pay for shipping.
Yes.
We're gonna show you guys all of this and explain all of it. Cliff notes on just a brokerage for life. When you look at Robert Palmer, our owner, who's done a great job in the lending space, decided to create a brokerage. Like it literally came down to like him speaking to us, and it was like, guys, you know, like through the pandemic, and you're watching things. He said he was watching Compass grow, and why agents like Compass. He was watching EXP grow, why they like LPT, and he was looking at flat-based things. And he literally said, Will, what I wanted to do is just like, hey, why are agents at each of these individual models? Because Compass is not EXP. Flat rate is another one of them. What can we do to just create a model where it's a brokerage for life, right? So whenever you guys come over, whether it's being a part of an elite luxury like Aperture, whether you're looking at flat rate or whether you're looking at participating in the rev share and having agents in your downline, getting more, you know, stock, et cetera, whatever you sign up as, you can also move. If you sign up and you're flat rate, you can pivot to rev share once your revenue share is big enough where you want to participate in stocks. If not that you don't get stocks when you're flat rate, you do get stocks. So I don't want to get too confusing because we're gonna have a whole video on it. But the point is, whatever you want to do, you can move that around. It's an ecosystem. However you want to do your license. If you're doing the rev share model, and like, for example, let's say you just have a super slow year. All agents have a super slow year. Like last year, you could make a pivot and not do your 80-20 and be a part of revenue share. You can just go to the flat rate model for however long you need until you pick up some momentum, and then you can convert back and go back into like your rev share model. But the point is, regardless of your circumstance, regardless of your preference, you have options, and you literally, not just theoretically, there's literally a brokerage for life now where regardless of how you want to structure yourself and whatever success looks like for you, you get to define that now.
Yes.
Anywhere else you go, this isn't just EXP. Anywhere else you go, they have their model, they have their split, they have their structure, and then this is it. And then you have to fit within the confines of how they deem success and brokerage. Over here, you have options, right? Where what success looks like for you, you get to establish that. The one counter I got to that, like when I was on my way out and some of the agents were talking to me that, you know, we're just a little disgruntled that we're leaving, is I said, yeah, Will, but listen, man, if people sign up as a flat rate agent and they do their $500 fee per transaction and they cap at $5,000, you're going to make less revenue share on that agent versus the agents that participate in the rev share and the stock options, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, yeah, man, I understand. And the fact that you're even mentioning that to me lets me know you're not agents first.
Yeah.
Super aware. You'll make I got it. And that's okay. What I want to make sure we have first and foremost is just a place where agents can be themselves, define success for themselves. The money comes. It'll all come out in the wash. Influence and leadership and making sure that agents are in the right space for the right reasons matter. And that comes first. If I'm counting my dollars first and I'm deciding to stay somewhere first for my own agenda, knowing it's not best for our agents and future agents, well, then I don't think I'd be able to call myself a leader, because everything I did within leadership in the Marine Corps, self was last. It was last. So when I get to this business world, this isn't EXP specific. Something I just privately get disgruntled on is just when I see people call themselves leaders or coaches or influencers or whatever they are in the real estate space. And then behind the scenes, you clearly see them not putting agents first, but we're still throwing like a title around. It's this title leadership. It's not romantic. It's not for fun. To me, it's a religion, and there's a responsibility behind doing things like that. So anytime we're looking at making decisions, it's going to be agents first. 100%. Eli and I know on the back end, we're going to make it work for us. We're going to be successful, but how we build agents will always be the priority.
Yes. Now, speaking of agents, I want to talk a little bit about tools and things that are offered, right? And I also want to come at this with an angle of those of you guys that are interested in recruiting and growing a downline and stuff like that. Now, with Will and I at EXP really didn't offer that much toward the agent themselves outside of KV Core, a CRM, but every brokerage on the planet is going to offer you a basic CRM, right? So what that meant was that for Will and I to be able to grow a substantial downline and actually have revenue share be an income stream for us, because again, we love doing transactions. We're doing transactions every single day. We're in the dirt with you guys. However, we also love leadership, coaching, and training and things like that. But because EXP offered so little for the agent to actually help them do more deals in business, Will and I had to come up with so many value adds, offers, and like just systems and courses, and come up with
our
all
university,
things,
our YouTube courses, like
all the things.
It was a hard convince to have enough value add for agents to be convinced to come to EXP. When you look at all these like royalty fees, franchise fees, monthly fees, all these things, like they add up, right? Like what you guys will probably understand and relate to, like when clients are walking through a home, like when you're looking at buyers. When they're walking through homes, you know, like we kind of see that 3-strike rule. And Eli and I do a ton of deals every year. If they walk into a home and there's 1, 2, and then 3 things that they kind of don't like about a home, they decide to keep looking. If there's 3 things that they kind of love about a home, they tend to overlook some things, 1 or 2 things, and then they tend to like lean toward it. But whatever it is, light switch covers aren't the same colors or
a bad smell,
like
dirty carpet.
Like they end up like passing, right? When you're looking at agent attraction and wanting to set agents up for their future, and they're looking at the model, and there's just all this monthly stuff, the death by paper cuts with these different bills, and then they're not getting a ton. We have to compensate for that to really have a ton to offer that they get at no cost in order to be a part of the brokerage. And it's just it really creates a hard sell. I'm sure what you're getting at is when you're over at LPT, the structure of the model, what they provide at no cost for agents, what they provide for just the cost of shipping for agents. It's very clear how well they're helping you become a better agent, a better performer. And just in our recent few months of being at LPT, when we started talking about the model to people that saw us move, and they weren't just from our downline, right? Like it was just people that were curious online, reached out, we started talking to them about LPT, and they were sold before we even got to our legit agent material. What we call that was our silo, right? Per se, that's our company, Legit Agents. We hadn't even got to it yet, and they were sold. And it was like, and that happened several times just within the first 2 weeks of coming over. And I think we grabbed probably 60 agents just in the first 2 weeks. It was interesting. And it was like, man, now we're swimming downstream. Now we're in a brokerage where it does help the agents, and it takes the load off of a sponsor, us, having to do all of it, but it does allow everything that we built to just be this cherry on top where we can help agents super expedite. But I feel like we've got more of a partnership with LBT and how they support agents, and then us and how we support agents. It feels like a partnership, a collaboration that is an effort of helping the agents we attract.
Yeah, so not only did recruiting 10x for us and just become way easier, swimming downstream, as Will said.
But wait, recruiting's easier, but you need to have more to make the same amount of money. For sure. You guys can skin this however you want. I'm okay with it. He's okay with it. It's agents first, and I promise you this, retention, and the long play of having 10 times the amount of agents will eventually outpay on the rev share side, and it will keep them a lot longer because it's being done the right way from the start.
Retention is exactly the word I was looking for, guys, because there is nothing, if any of you guys have grown a brokerage or grown a downline before, you know how much work and effort goes into that. And there is nothing worse than seeing an agent go through 6 months of a tough year, or maybe some personal medical issues where they need to save more money. And all the work you put into that person, they leave and go to a flat rate brokerage because, hey, they got to provide for their family. They got to put food on the table. They got to survive this next 6 months or whatever it may be. And again, over here, we're facing zero of that issue because if they're over on the 80-20 model and they're going through some stuff, hey, switch over to flat rate. It's okay. You don't have to
just
go
keep
anywhere
using
else.
the things that they give you to keep doing more deals.
Get more deals.
There's a lot of great things about the 80-20 split with the stock options. LPT is still pre-IPO. If you guys know anything about pre and post IPO, there's a lot of really cool benefits for the next year or so as far as like being over here sooner than later. But it comes from the top down with our leadership, with Robert Palmer, Michael Valdez, our proximity to being able to speak with them. I mean, we spent 3 days at Michael Valdez's house, our CEO.
Accessibility to leadership is...
It's key because they're also innovative to our ideas and things that we're doing. I feel like, this is no disrespect, it's just how I feel. I feel like your C-suite staff at EXP caters to alphas, the big recruiters at EXP, the 1,000 agents or more. They've got those gatekeepers. I've heard about some of those private conversations that happen, can't speak about them, so maybe it's just rumors, so we'll leave it out. But I feel like they cater to those guys versus actually helping on the ground level, unless you're a mega Zillow team. Like I know there's some cool stuff with that everybody wants to be a part of, but I feel like they got stuck in this bottleneck of like serving these gatekeepers versus serving the practitioner on the ground regardless of level. And at LPT, because the recruiter is not the most important person, even if you have 10,000 agents, a recruiter is not the most important. Everything will be influenced from the ground level as a practitioner first, period. We all feel like it's just a different vibe when it comes to being able to speak to Robert Palmer and being on Zooms or in person with him. When it comes to Michael Valdez, the proximity we've had to him. I mean, we've literally broken out our laptops and pulled curtain backs on everything that we've done. And they are not only open to the innovation that we've had, but we're able to influence more agents. I know we're gonna talk about some of their training that they do every month now and then once or twice a year, but even being nominated, I was nominated this week for a huge award. We're gonna leave it out until we hear more about it, but never once. And not that I necessarily need awards. And even if I don't win this one, that's okay. The fact that I was even cared enough about where they pulled a curtain back on everything myself and Eli and Sam have built and have done, and they felt enough to recommend me for an award, to me, it's already a win. I don't need the award. If I do, great. But just the fact that they care that much to really sit down and look at everything we've built and then recommend us for something like that is like, damn, that's awesome, right? Like I feel wanted, I feel like I'm cared about. And what I've talked about a lot is like, hey, can I go to battle with these guys? When you guys look at different brokerages, whether it's EXP, LPT, Real, Keller Williams, Berkshire, you name it, cool. Like the bottom line is, do you have my back? And are you in my corner?
Right.
And like, because you say so or because you show so. And guys, if you haven't figured out, especially these past couple of years, real estate right now is a battle, right? Like we're having a lot of success, we're having a lot of growth, but it's been a battle the last 2 to 3 years as far as like really staying to the grind and really staying in it. And there's some light at the end of the tunnel and then great, right? But are you somewhere where you feel like you're a part of something bigger than yourself, yet you still matter as an individual and you're around people that will go to battle for you and help you win? It's like, for me, it's probably the Marine Corps thing in me. I'm in a place now where I'm like, hey, I can go to battle. And I'll tell you this much, no disrespect to any other brokers, I've never felt this way at any brokerage we've been to, Berkshire, EXP. I never felt that feeling until now. Just being transparent, I feel like, you know, will there be mistakes that pop up? I'm sure. Will there be some obstacles as LPT grows? I'm sure. And I'm okay with it because they have my back. They're putting their efforts where their mouth is. And it's like, man, I can go to battle with these guys, right? Like we can climb, we can grow, and we're going to influence a lot of agents because of that.
That's right. Now, I also want to bring up in this video, guys, as we're nearing the end here, I also want to bring up some trends and a couple data points and future casting. So in the time that we were at EXP.
Future casting, that's a good word.
You like that?
Is that a word?
I don't know. I think it is. Hopefully it is. If it's not, it is now. So looking at the time we were at EXP, their stock went from $47 down to $7. Now, I know the market is going through some weird things right now, so it could be partially that, but also, hey, it's a factor. That's a massive, massive decline. In addition to that, Will mentioned this earlier, they're down 30,000 agents in this past year.
36,000 last year.
That's like 30% of the company.
I think another 16 this year. Don't quote me. I think it was another 16 this year, but it was 36,000 last year.
Huge numbers, guys. And when we look at LPT, they are the fastest growing brokerage ever. They're at 16,000 agents now in just 2 years, which, if I'm not mistaken, took EXP 7 or 8 years to get to 16,000 before getting to their 90 where they're at
Some of that's
now.
because the cloud-based brokerage is just more popular now. It's proven.
Sure.
EXP did a great job pioneering it and proving it, right? Give the credit where credit's due. But now as it's become more popularized and just more known, well, that also means there's just also more data, and EXP became the case study of what to do, what not to do, and how to build it better, which probably correlates into why it's growing faster. Not every cloud-based brokerage has grown this fast, though, so I don't want to just credit to that EXP went first. Google wasn't the first website.
Yeah.
They're clearly the best. They're like, opinions aside, like they've conquered. But there is something to be said about seeing those pivots and just from scratch, starting it and doing it right.
It is. So with everything we said, you know, zooming out a little bit, guys, to take any of these stories out of it, to take personal examples and situations that we've been in and interactions that we've had, taking all that stuff out of it, if we're just looking at this from straight up numbers, seeing what's happened to EXP stock, seeing what's happened to EXP's numbers, like the market is telling you something right there. And then when you look at LPT and you see the things that they've been able to accomplish in just 2 years, again, the market's telling you something there. And for looking at a 2-year company, now that we're over here, we've been in the back ends, we're seeing how things work and stuff like that. Not just telling you guys what we've been told, but we're experiencing it now. Honestly, I can't believe they've been able to set up these systems and have the back ends and stuff and the systems that they do have in just a 2-year-old company. That's crazy.
100%. So when you take all of like my personal stories or some of our agents' stories and experiences, take that into consideration because like they do matter. But at the end of the day, if hypothetically we're to take all of those circumstances off the table, you can just look at these two companies, apples to apples, no emotion, no stories, no nothing. This is just a faster car, right? This is just a better, faster car that's geared around the racer, not like the promotion. Like if you guys have ever watched like Ford versus Ferrari, right? Like with Carroll Shelby making the race car for Ford and winning the Le Mans and all that. Well, you had this marketing team that was more concerned about, let's put this driver in the car because he's more well-known, he speaks better to the public, he's better looking, and he fits the part. And then like, hey, let's have the car look like this with this. And like they were so concerned about the marketing and the show of Ford competing in the Le Mans versus Shelby and the team focusing on making sure they win that race, right? So like, it's a great movie if you haven't seen it, but I kind of feel like it's that. Take them off the board. It's like one's telling a great story, one's got a huge presence on social media, et cetera, et cetera. Got it, cool. One is just a faster fucking car, excuse my language, and it's geared toward the racer, it's geared toward winning. I feel like it's always gonna be that way based off of how Robert Palmer has structured it and what he cares about and who he puts on the stages and who rates that, who's respectable for that. Like emotions aside, stories aside, it's just a better car. It's built for racing. It's built for winning. It's not built for the tour that the marketing guys want to take Ford on to go tell the entire world they're going to go compete in Le Mans. It was focused on winning Le Mans, right? And I feel like this
Great
is where
example.
we're at.
Great example. So, guys, we would love to meet with any of you on an individual basis. There's going to be a link in the description below.
Correct.
So if you want to jump on a Zoom call and learn a little bit more about LPT, the things that we can do to help your business, help you do more deals, guys, not just how to grow a downline. We're not going to get on there and tell you can make money doing revenue share, right? Unless that is a big focus of yours.
Correct. And listen, if you guys want some resources or some sources as far as like folks that were at EXP with us that can tell their story privately that I don't have permission to just share their names on this camera, I'm happy to give you guys some references. And listen, if you are curious about EXP or if that's where you feel like you are best fit after you look at both models, that's also okay. Reach out, let me know, and I will 100% put you in front of the two best guys that we know at EXP. Those are the guys that we had joined. They're great guys. If you guys just need to be there for whatever reason you think that's a better fit, I am happy to introduce you to them privately and get you guys ready to go. But either way, this is all for transparency, clarity, and telling our story. Some of it's negative. I get it. It's not negative by us trying to be malicious and speak negatively about anyone specifically. But listen, at the end of the day, things do happen. Yeah. There was discernment. There was a little bit of heartbreak. There was some letdowns. And then there was some just tactical things that we didn't agree with as far as the decisions they were making on how they were structuring business, for EXP. And they need to be talked about, right? And like, it's only fair to keep things transparent from our experience. This isn't everyone's experience, I'm sure. I'm sure you guys can find some other videos. We'll love it. No problem. Our story, our scenarios, either way, happy to help. If you guys need something from us, just reach out.
That's right. We'll see you guys.